Hello and welcome to an India Today special with a couple that I would like to describe as the first couple of India's great middle class entrepreneurial startup dream. Delighted to be joined today by the iconic Narayana Murthy and some would say his better half, Sudha Murty. Appreciate both of you joining us. The occasion is also special. An Uncommon Love, the early life of Sudha and Narayana Murthy is a new book that has been brought out by Juggernaut with Chitra Banerjee Devakaruni, the author, also joining us from America. Appreciate all of you joining us on the show. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
It's always a pleasure, Rajdeep.
You know, I want to start, before I delve into the book, with a controversy that has erupted over, Mr. Murthy, your comments recently that Indians should work 70-hour weeks. That stirred a controversy. And as the book also reveals, there's a parallel theme that you definitely worked more than 70 hours a week when you were building Infosys and more. Are you sticking by the comments given the backlash that you've received? People saying, does Mr. Murthy understand that today's India wants a work-life balance?
Well, I used to work 85 to 90 hours a week, definitely till I retired. Number two, I received scholarship right from my pre-university in 1961. Number two, all my friends who went to engineering college, they received a lot of help from the government in terms of their fees being a highly discounted figure. Therefore, my view has always been that those of us in India who have received so much benefit from the country, from the taxpayer, have an enormous responsibility to work very, very hard to bring a chance for the betterment of life of the poorer sections of the society. Therefore, I don't regret it.
You're sticking by your comments.
Absolutely.
70-hour weeks should be there to give, as a way to give back to society.
No, Rajdeep, I don't think 70 is important. All that it means is you have to be very productive, you have to work very hard, like the Germans did after the World War II, like the Japanese did. And we owe it to the poor people in our society to work hard and make the quality of their life a little bit better.
You share his view of 70-hour week. You agree that you have to be there all the time in a way in the office, grinding away.
No, not that way, because at least for both of us, work was always a joy. So it was not grinding or anything. Even I work more than 70 hours at this age, because it is like work is different. Oh, you can't share your family life. It is not true. We can still do that along with the work. Like you come home, I'm in the kitchen, he will come and help. Is it not spending time together? So my definition is, you should enjoy your work. You should be passionate about your work. The work is holiday then.
Because today's generation says we need a work-life balance. What about our mental health? If we spend so much time working, when will we genuinely enjoy life?
What is enjoying life? I always enjoyed working my work as well as working with him and working together in the house.
Rajdeep, if I may interject here.
Yes.
I think it was 98 or 99, I don't remember. That was the year when I was voted the best CEO of the year by the Economic Times.
98, I think.
98, probably. At that, there was a panel discussion where my friend Shri K.V. Kamath was participating. And one of the people, the interviewer asked him, what is your view on work-life balance? He made a very important statement that has stood as the guiding light for me. He said, look, we in India must first get a life, and then talk of work-life balance. I think it was a fantastic statement by Sri K.V. Kamath. I am very indebted to him for making this whole philosophy very clear in that short sentence.
Because there is a parallel to this in the book, and we're coming to the book in a moment, because in the book, it is revealed that you were seen by your children, particularly your daughter Akshata, as a bonus dad. That you often missed special occasions while they were growing up because you weren't at home most of the time. That your first and second love, according to a colleague, was Infosys. The children were somewhere there, but first and second love was Infosys. So you don't have any regrets. They were growing up and Mr. Murthy was busy building his company.
I was there.
You were there.
Then, and my parents stayed downstairs, I stayed upstairs. So it is not like, Murthy should be there always. Whenever he has time, he will take them out. He will spend time with them. And when it is a home time, it was the Murthy's time. Always, it's his time.
You always call him Murthy?
Yeah.
Even now?
Yeah.
From the first day that you met him, he was
in
Murthy.
1974 on. Okay. October 4th or 5th I met him. 4th, 5th I thought.
It's actually 50 years, therefore, since you first met each other in 1974. But so you don't think that it's fathers not spending their birthdays or special occasions with their children should matter?
I will tell you, Murthy comes from a family and background where we did not have any connection, political connection, money or anything. We were ordinary people. And it is not like a Cinderella. You touch something, you have a castle, you become a princess. How a person like Murthy, coming from a normal background, build a great company like Infosys in 30, 40 years. It is sheer hard work, of course, grace of God, good colleagues, teamwork. Tell me how he can do. So, when husband is doing a great work like this, wife should stand and say, look, your appa is working very hard for a reason. Your birthday is there, my father was there, my sister was there, my mother was there. So, I never told them that, no, it's very important the father should come. I said, we will celebrate at home, but appa cares for you. Appa cares for you. When he comes home, he spends entire time with you. So, I support Murthy.
You're looking more serious when I asked that bonus dad. Your daughter saying you are a bonus dad. Do you regret it all these years later? Maybe I should have been there when the cake was being cut at home, when there was a special occasion, Parents Teachers Association meeting, Sudha ji going there, you're not available?
Okay.
No, not really, not really.
It's okay.
Because I always believed that quality is more important than quantity. I used to leave for office at 6 a.m. and I would return by about 9:15. I would leave the office at 8:30. Mohan would leave 5 minutes after I left. And as soon as I reached home, children would be at the gate. Sudha children, they would get into the car. Then my father-in-law would get into the car. And we would go to McFast, whatever food they liked, either pizza or some Punjabi
Tandoori.
dishes,
Tandoori
tandoor,
or
whatever
something.
it is. And we used to have lots of fun during that time. Those hour and a half, 2 hours was most relaxing for the children. That's one. The second principle that I have always followed, I have told everybody, including my sisters, is this. Look, you don't need me when everything is going well. However, if there is any time that you have a difficulty, I will always be there for you. I will make sure that you come out of that difficulty. If you're not well, I will be there to take you to the hospital. All of that. In other words, it is not the quantity that is important, it is the quality.
I take your point, but as I see in the book, it was Sudhaji who was really nurturing and ensuring that Akshata and Rohan, through their difficult times, children ill, through all those tough times, she was there. Murthy was in America or some part of the world building his business. Not everyone is as driven as him, possibly, to work those grueling hours, 6 a.m. to 9:15.
Rajdeep, your father was a cricketer. So you know that. When you have a good partner, then only you can get a century.
Yeah, he was traveling. He traveled to
So,
West
so
Indies,
you're
he
saying
traveled to
that
so
you
many
were the
places.
good partner who
Together,
ensured.
we were partnership. So Murthy will do business job, he will work hard, and I will take care of the house. I will also teach them, I'm a teacher, and Murthy will spend good time with them with the good partnership. It is
You
not
didn't
that,
see yourself as the housewife, and he was the one, who
no,
had to
I
go
know,
and earn the
no,
family
no,
a living.
No,
no,
she was
because
more qualified than I was.
She was more qualified then, and then I see in the book she made the greater sacrifices, and we'll come to that in a moment.
yeah, no, it's okay. I used to do part-time job as a lecturer in a college, 9 to 12. Okay, I never felt it because raising a family requires many things. Okay, priority is family. So I kept priority is family, children, and for that I will walk any distance, any number of miles. So it was a good partnership that I will do some work. A complement makes a universal set. Mathematically, I can tell. I did something, he did something. Together, we did something good.
No, but Rajdeep, it is very important for all of us to remember that our heroes are, for you, for me, Sudha, everybody here, are people like Mahatma Gandhi, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Maulana Azad. I mean, these people sacrifice so much that whatever little we do is puny. So we should not even make this a big deal. Mahatma Gandhi was hardly at home. He didn't bring up his children. I think because of that, we have an independent India. Gopal Krishna Gokhale did. Maulana Azad did. Rajgopalachari did. Vallabhbhai Patel did. Jawaharlal Nehru did. It's extraordinary what they did. I don't know, probably you know better than I do. I believe once Motilal Nehru was sleeping on a stone bench in his huge, in the garden of the huge house. And Jawaharlal Nehru went and asked him, why are you doing it? He says, I'm getting used to the prison. I want to get used to the prison. So I think whatever we are doing is all puny, it is meaningless, it is nothing. Therefore, for me, these are the extraordinary heroes. If I can do 1/1,000,000th of what they did, I think our family would be happy, I would be happy.
Let's come to the book and the joy of your early years. And I want to come to you, Chitra, first, because you put this together and got two rather otherwise private, reticent people to speak about a lot about their romance, coming together, and their lives over the years. What was it like for someone like you, a fiction writer, to write a biography of sorts of Sudha and Narayana Murthy?
It was really a movement in a whole different direction. It was a great challenge, but I thought that this book was very important to write because I felt that this book, if we really see into the lives of Sudhaji and Murthyji, will inspire people, but not because they are great heroes up here that we cannot relate to, but because they are so human and they went through many of these problems that they were very kind to share with me. They were so honest. They didn't just show me that, oh, it was always hard work, it was always ideals, it was always doing everything just right. They shared with me the moments of frustration, the moments of pain, things from their childhood. Yes, inspiring, but also very, very difficult. And I think as people read the story of these two, in some ways, very human, very ordinary people, that is more aspiring. That is more inspiring because we can aspire to do the things that they have done. And I feel very happy that they were, willing to share. They were willing to make themselves vulnerable for the sake of this book.
Let's come, therefore, to those exciting journeys that you've shared, the frustrations, the vulnerabilities. As I read the book, Sudhaji comes across, particularly in the early years and possibly even today, as the cheerful pragmatist, always smiling, always positive. And Murthy comes across in the book as, dare I say, in the early years, as an unemployed communist. Not my words, words of Sudhaji's father, a kind of dreamy idealist. Is that a fair categorization? In the early years, you were the unemployed communist with these ideals, and she was the cheerful pragmatist holding it all together.
Yes, that depiction.
She's laughing now.
That depiction by Chitraji is absolutely correct. I grew up as a socialist influenced by Jawaharlal Nehru and my father. When I went to France, I realized that that model just would not work for India. And I gradually converted myself to a compassionate capitalist, but that took a little bit of time. Therefore, by and large, as is depicted in the book, I was a strong leftist, sometimes borrowing the ideas of socialists and sometimes borrowing the ideas of communists. And even today, I am a capitalist in mind, but a socialist at heart.
You know, he is the serious one in this partnership. Am I correct? You're the Shrikant to his Gavaskar. You know, you're the more ebullient one. If there was an opening partnership, you're the one ready to take more risks in a strange way than even he would. Is that how you saw him? You were always the ever smiling Sudhaji, right?
Well, in initial days, when the question of marriage came, I always tell my father, I want to marry a man who reads a lot. It is not money. He may be in a smaller job, it doesn't matter, but the person should read a lot. And though Murthy was unemployed, but he used to read a lot. And also borrow money from me and buy books and read a lot.
That's right. So books brought you together.
Yeah, always.
And
always.
when a close friend of yours told you about a friend who had all these books,
yeah,
who turned out to be Murthy, apparently you thought he might look like Rajesh Khanna.
Yeah.
Right? Early
man
70s.
who has gone to Paris, who hitchhiked, and who can speak French, in 1974 time. It was a great thing. Today it is not great. I said, I am going to meet someone. Here comes a school boy or a college boy. And I said, is it Murthy? He said, yeah.
Was he Rajesh Khanna or not?
No.
Why do you want to insult Rajesh Khanna?
He was a young man with a lot of brilliance.
He was a young man with a lot of brilliance.
And reading. Reading is the name.
In a way, you therefore were his muse. I think she was your muse, right? She inspired you right through. But as I see in the book, Sudhaji, you give Narayana Murthy or Murthy 10,000 rupees from your savings to set him off on his entrepreneurial journey. You then even offer a bank to pawn your jewelry for a bank loan. You stay away from your little daughter for a while, keep her with your mother and sister in Hubli because you need to support him in his business. What was it? Was it love? Was it conviction that your husband was going to achieve something seemingly impossible? Or is it just the kind of person you are that made you be ready for all these sacrifices?
Mainly love. Love for my husband. Whether he'll make it money or not is I never ever thought. Many times I told Murthy, in case it fails, why you should worry? I have a degree, you have a degree. We can always go back to salaried job. Okay? Then I have a 2-bedroom apartment in Pune, which was like a mahal to me. 2-bedroom apartment in Pune in model colony. Why do you worry? Just don't worry. We can lead a normal life. I mean, how we have led, we'll continue it. Partially because of my nature also, because I feel in life, it is not 2 plus 2 is 4, It is 2 plus 2, maybe 3, it may be 5. Don't worry, whatever you get, enjoy, do that life well at that moment. Like I enjoyed being a teacher in a college. I enjoyed being a mother at home. Now I am enjoying as a grandmother. whatever situation you get, do your level best and enjoy. That is my motto in life.
But here is an engineering topper
Oh.
who is with telco in a good job, eventually gives up her job because you need to support him at various stages in his journey. I mean, this level of sacrifice is truly uncommon. You have 10,200 in your bank account, you give 10,000 out of your savings to him to set up his business. I mean, this doesn't happen all the time.
There are two things. When I got married, my mother told me, Sudha, you should keep some money without your husband's knowledge in a safe place, because you never know how difficulties come in life. My father was a salaried man, so she must have done that one. So I used to take out money and I'll keep it in an old tin, that kind of a dabba where nobody can suspect. Okay, put rice on that or something that kind. But this money should not be used for buying sari or gold, by any of the pleasures. It is only emergency money. So when Murthy said, I want to start a company, initially I said, why? We have a good job, everything is there. Then he explained to me the importance of software revolution. And he knows that I'm very fond of history. So he told, when there was the industrial revolution in India, we were in the British colony, so we could not become legally, ethically rich. Second revolution is going to come now, that is known as software revolution. If we work hard, we can legally, ethically do very well. But I want your support. And then I thought, my husband is dreaming something, and let us help him, let me help him. At the most, I may lose 10,000 rupees. But it is better to try and fail than not trying it at all.
All these years later, Mr. Murthy, do you think about the sacrifices that Sudhaji made? What is it? She says it's out of love. It's out of love and the brilliance of the Rajesh Khanna that she was going to see, who was flooded with books in his library. But all these years later, does it give you a sense of, do you feel like giving back to Sudhaji in some way?
I think he has given much more than 10,000.
Acha, he's given you, of course, much more than 10,000. Yes.
I think it's very important for me to state something. My mother taught me when we were children that the first attribute of a civilized person is gratitude. Therefore, I am extremely grateful to her. I have demonstrated my gratitude in different ways almost every week, sometimes in words, sometimes in actions, sometimes in gestures. But I do remain very grateful because gratitude is extremely important. Unfortunately, that is lacking in most urban people.
Loving Rajesh Khanna. You sing songs to her occasionally?
No, those days I did, but
He had
now
a very good voice.
You have a favorite, he had a favorite song which he would croon to you? You remember any song?
no, I think those
There
songs.
must have been a song somewhere. Mere Sapno ki Rani.
More of a Kannada songs.
Acha, Kannada songs.
No, but I think
Swami
the
Devani
songs moved from decade to decade. They changed from decade to decade as we became older and wiser, different songs. But those days, first of all, before founding Infosys, I was a carefree person. I used to laugh a lot. I used to goof up a lot. I used to be totally carefree. But I think as I took on the task of Infosys, I remembered that I had already failed once in Softronics. And I had reached the age of 35, and I said, this is when I have to work very hard. This is when I have to become very serious. And I discussed this issue with her. She agreed that I have to work very hard. She would cooperate fully. She would make all the required sacrifices. So I think as our outlook on life changed, our objectives changed, our targets changed. Uh, we had different songs to cheer ourselves, different movies to see, different friends to have, etc. It's normal.
She was a terrific movie buff. By the way, in the book, we learned that Sudhaji once took a bet that she would watch a movie a day for 365 days in Pune in the 1970s and almost won the bet, probably won the bet by watching films across various languages. But Chitra, there's a line in the book, a statement made by Sudhaji, which she says to Murthy in those years. I want you to be like the trapeze artist in a circus and take a spectacular leap of faith. I'm willing to be your safety net. Is this something that struck you about this relationship, this partnership, as they are calling it today? It is truly uncommon.
Yes, and I loved that statement. And that's why, when Sudhaji told me that, I'm like, that is certainly going in the book. Because I think what makes their relationship particularly wonderful is that there was equality, but not sameness. Each partner was different. They decided which part of this relationship would they take on. So one is going to be the trapeze artist, and the other is going to be the safety net. And maybe at a different time in their life, it will change. And you were talking about how Murthy and Murthy decided that Sudhaji could not be in Infosys. Everybody knows that story, and she shared with me, she was very upset for several days. But what I put in the book, and this shows the partnership, is that Murthy came back to Sudhaji when he realized how upset she was. And he said, you are the smart one. If you want, you can take over Infosys. And Murthy, I learned this from talking to him many times. He doesn't say things if he doesn't mean them. If he says it, he means it. He said, you take Infosys, I'll take care of the children. And Sudhaji thought about it for quite a while. And she said to herself, she's told this to me, I can handle Infosys just fine, but can he take care of the children as well as I can? And that answer didn't come out as a yes. And so the path.
Let's push that. It's an interesting story. The fact was that you tell your wife that if first you say you cannot join Infosys. I don't want it to be a husband-wife partnership. And you go on to say, I am happy to take care of the children. You can take over Infosys, but both of us will not be in Infosys together. I mean, this is very unusual because this is a partnership. Surely you wanted her also to be part of the Infosys story.
Well, Rajdeep, as I just now pointed out, your views change from time to time. You evolve. At that point of time, based on my own mindset, based on what I had seen in corporate India around me, my view was that husband and wife coming together may not be the best way to create a highly professional team.
You didn't want it to be a family firm. That's above all else.
Exactly. You put it better. But as you grow older, as you see as you get a lot of new experiences, as you become wiser, you realize, which I've realized today, that the most important thing is not family relationships. Most important thing is whether you will actually follow every rule of good governance. And that is not restricted, following every rule of governance is not restricted to professionals. It is prevalent amongst family firms, it is prevalent amongst brothers and sisters, as long as they have been brought up with a proper value system by their parents, by their early teachers and all of that. So I have now it's a different set of view. It is all based on my own experiences, what I have observed in the world around me, all of that. So there is nothing that we should pay too much importance to it, as long as my basic value, which is honesty, decency, courtesy, transparency, accountability, and fairness, etc., they are not compromised.
So if we were to turn the clock back and Sudhaji was to come back to you when you were setting up Infosys and say, I want to be part of this venture, we are a partnership, we are going to work together, we've always done it together, you'd say, welcome to the club? You might. These years later?
Today, based on my having observed the so-called professionals and the family firms, I personally believe that other than multinationals, there is not that much to distinguish between the two.
He's almost making an offer that he didn't make to you all those years ago. You were very angry. You were upset that suddenly this partnership was being broken when he decided you don't have space in Infosys, even though, as I reiterate, you were an engineering topper and therefore were eminently qualified in a way to be part of his dream. Do you in some ways regret not being part of that part of his life inside by actually being part of the Infosys founding team?
Initially, maybe. Initially, I felt it like I'm not part of the technical team because I'm a technical person. But over a period of time, I realized that's not necessary. If I would have been at Infosys, I would have retired as a director of technical, some head of that and all. I feel God closed one window but opened many doors to me. I developed many things, like I took up writing as a serious profession. More than that, I joined Infosys Foundation and I could make the changes to so many people's lives. And particularly, I told you that I was working with the sex workers. It was so difficult job I did. I realized that life, what you think is the best may not be the best. What you get is the best and do the best in that.
Because, you probably, children know more about Sudha Murty than they know about Narayana Murthy because you're this best-selling author of books for children. And the tables have turned, Murthy. No, she's today just as big an iconic figure as you are.
No, in some way bigger. I'll tell you in some way bigger. I'll tell you why. I see a glass half empty, but she sees a glass half full. She's always very positive. Whatever she takes up, she has risen to the top. That is, that's the reality. That's data. I'm not inventing anything.
Gratitude. He's finally learning to praise his wife more and more in public. Part of his, but it's, you've discovered a new life for yourself. So, you've gone in your own direction with your book writing and your philanthropy, your foundation doing remarkable work among Devdasi communities and many others. So you must feel a sense of fulfillment today.
Behind every successful woman, there's an understanding man.
That's a lovely one line. Say it again.
Behind every successful woman, there's an understanding man.
See, she's throwing back the compliments at you.
She's very kind, yeah.
But what also stands out in this book for me, there are two themes and I'll come to both one by one. One is middle class origins and values. You spent so little on yourselves in those early years. You live in a one-bedroom flat in Santa Cruz, which doesn't have a lift. The first flat you have in Mumbai doesn't even have a proper attached bathroom. No home phone. It takes you a lot of difficulty. Today's India doesn't know how difficult it was to get a phone connection. Sudhaji takes a local train to Churchgate with a tiffin so that you're not hungry at night.
That's right.
Honeymoon is in Matheran, presumably surrounded by monkeys. This almost seems straight out of an Amol Palekar movie of the 1970s. Her favorite actor Amol Palekar, Baaton Baaton Mein and other films.
Rajnigandha.
So
Starting with Rajnigandha.
What is this middle class values that shape your lives in a way?
Well, according to me, middle class values are honesty, hard work, high aspiration, discipline, and putting the interests of other members of the family beyond your own interest, and in a certain percentage of cases, putting the interests of the country ahead of one's own interest, aspiring to be educated extremely well, working very hard in the office, making sure that one achieves one gets the plaudits from the bosses. So these are by and large middle class values.
It's also stitching a white sweater as a symbol of love, which is what you did. Among your early gifts to Mr. Murthy is stitching a white sweater for him.
Knitting a white sweater with a red border.
Yeah, so you're playing as I said, an Amol Palekar, a great favorite of yours. Murthy had become Amol Palekar. You were like a Vidya Sinha from Rajnigandha.
She was so beautiful. She was so beautiful.
No, I think all his movies, whether it's Rajnigandha or Baaton Baaton Mein. In fact, I told Tina Muneem when we met her at some function.
Choti Si Baat.
At Choti Si Baat. I mean, it's...
Yeah, Baaton Baaton Mein was with
Baaton
Tina
Baaton
Muneem.
Mein.
And
Baaton
Choti
Baaton
Si
Mein.
Baat, of course, was Amol Palekar and Vidya Sinha.
Yeah.
And Rajnigandha, I did debut movie. It was
That's
so
right.
beautiful.
That's so heartwarming. It gave so much of confidence to the middle class people. And so I was very happy.
But did you ever feel sitting in that one room house in Santa Cruz, no lift, no attached bathroom, that one day would come when you'd be these multi-billionaires and aspirational role models for an entire startup culture? Did you ever think of that?
Not-
Was there a dream out there?
No,
Never.
never. I never thought about it.
At no stage.
No stage. And when Murthy started Infosys, I never thought, we'll become so big. My husband wants to start some adventure by the name Infosys. He had many adventures in life. It's one of the adventures. So it may make it, may not make it. Not more than that.
Chitra, isn't that something that sort of draws you to them? They are these middle class role models. The simplicity with which they live their lives and continue to live in many ways is hugely attractive.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. And it is hugely attractive because it's not like they're saying, oh, look at us, we are so wonderful, we are choosing to live this simple life. It was very natural to them. And that came out of their childhoods. I think that came out of some of the people who influenced their childhood. Murthyji's mother, Sudhaji's grandparents, they taught them these things just by the way in which they lived their lives, the way they gave away things. There's a story in the book where Sudhaji goes to visit her grandparents, and they have two granaries, one in the front, which has bad rice, lower quality rice, and one in the back, which has better quality rice. And when people come to beg, they get the better quality rice. And when the family eats at night, they eat the worst quality rice. And she just grew up with that. She questioned it, but then they explained to her why it is important to give. And when you learn those values when you are young, they just become part of you. You're no longer putting them on, or you're no longer even thinking of them as a sacrifice. And that's what I loved about writing this book, is learning what came naturally to them. And also feeling, well, we can also learn. They learned it from their grandparents. We can learn it from this book. And that's kind of my great hope in writing this book.
And the other running theme, which I find even more fascinating, is just how tough it was to do business in India in the 1970s and 80s. The entrepreneurial journey, running around bureaucrats for getting basic permissions to import a computer, going to the Reserve Bank of India office for remittances to be cleared, Sudhaji with Akshata on her arm with you, going to the Reserve Bank of India office, spending hours there, phone connections, and I'll come to the phone story in a moment. Much easier to do business now, isn't it? All the startup culture today, so much easier today than it was in the 1980s.
Well, I think we must all be very grateful to late Narasimha Rao, who was obviously aided by Dr. Manmohan Singh, Sri Chidambaram, and Sri Montek Singh Ahluwalia in liberalizing our economy. But I do believe that without the extraordinary support of late Narasimha Rao, it would not have happened, because he was the Prime Minister, he was the leader. He had to take the flag from whatever others. So that combination of Narasimha Rao, Dr. Manmohan Singh, Sri Chidambaram and Montek Singh Ahluwalia, these are the four, Chatur Murty or whatever you call, that India must be very, very grateful to, because without that we would not be where we are today.
But those frustrations of the 80s, did they ever get to you? I mean, you're taking months on end to get basic permissions for a computer to be imported. Did you ever feel, forget it, I'm not going to do this anymore?
It was. That is where spending time in the family with wife and children, Akshata and Rohan, who were very, very young at that time, going with them to restaurants, seeing them enjoying their food, buying them small toys, and going to her parents' house in Hubli. I think all those things added a lot to alleviate those stresses.
They were your stress busters.
Absolutely.
She was your safety valve, stress buster and more, because there's a fascinating story about getting a phone. Your son is ill and you don't know how to contact Murthy. You don't have a home phone at the time and you have to rush to get a trunk call made from a post office. I mean, it must have been crazy times in a way, and all of us grew up in that 70s, 80s, middle class India, desperate for a phone connection, and he was not willing to bribe the lineman, so you wouldn't get a phone connection in advance. It must have been tough.
Yes, it was tough, but it was tough for everybody.
Sure.
Not only for me. Okay, given situation is tough, what you will do? Sit and cry, sit and get upset, or do something. I rather do something. So take the child on your shoulder, hold the other girl in your hand, go to post office, sit there at 8 o'clock in the night. Then there's a big line, then you get a connection. He says, only 3 minutes you have to talk, not more than that. And I called my sister, Dr. Sunanda. I said, I'm worried, the child is not well. Take the late night bus and come. That is the only solution. You have to accept, given situation, what you can do the best.
There's another story that stands out for me. You slept in a storeroom in the United States between cardboard cartons, because that's how your US principal treated his Indian partner in those early years. I mean, when I read that story, I just see how much India has changed. This is 1980s. You're sitting between cardboard cartons in a storeroom, not even allowed into the main house in a way, by your US principal who's given you your first big break. And you just accept it.
Well, I think in some way what I have learned from my wife and also from my mother is that you have to make the best out of whatever situation you are in. You have to look at the positive sides. That gentleman gave us the first major contract. I remain very grateful to him. I invited him for the Infosys 40th year celebration, for other major occasions of Infosys, because more important than that, our gratitude has to be there. But the reason why I mentioned sleeping in a room on a box is simply to convey to the entrepreneurs that when you are building your company, you will have to go through a lot of discomfort, lot of sacrifices, lot of stresses, but they are all transitory. They will go away. Don't ever get defeated by those events. yet remain grateful to the person who has helped you. So even today, I remain very grateful to that person for giving us the break. He was the first customer of ours, and I remain very grateful. And I've always believed that whatever you recount for the sake of future entrepreneurs, you must try to be as honest as possible. It cannot be only positive stuff. It has to have both the good, the bad, and even the ugly. So that's the only spirit in which I recounted it to Chitraji. Of course, she has described it very well. Only she can. But I don't hold any grudge. I don't hold any ill will towards anybody.
Because a lot of hidden aspects of you come through. You clean your own toilets?
Yes,
You still do?
I do.
You still clean your own toilets?
Yes, yes.
Even now at the age of 78?
I do that because
Now his knees are giving problems.
Now your knees are, but for the longest time you did.
He did. He's corporate Gandhi, I tell you.
He's a corporate Gandhi.
But I'm not Kasturba.
That's another one line which I will remember. He's a corporate Gandhi,
Yeah, but I'm not Kasturba.
but you're not Kasturba.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.